With the 2023 season coming to a close, it's time to talk about which team will challenge Red Bull in 2024. 23 has been domination by Red Bull, but teams have been closing up, and when it comes to actual competitiveness, it has been one of the most competitive seasons we've had in a very long time, with the exception of the top team. But in the past couple of races and really the second half of the season, teams have been getting close, and there's 4 in particular that I want to talk about, 3 that I very much want to emphasize. What are their strengths, what are their weaknesses, and why I think one team reigns supreme over the others at catching Red Bull and actually giving Max Verstappen a big competition in 2024. Before starting the video, thank you all so much for support on the channel. Genuinely means the world. If you haven't subscribed, please do, and like the video. It pushes us out. You guys do amazing at that all the time, so thank you all so much. All love for you guys. Let's get started into the video. The first team that I want to go over is Aston Martin. And I really do think in the order that I'm going in, this is kind of how I align these teams with who will be the strongest, who will be the weakest. I think Aston Martin is a big maybe right now. After a great Brazil Grand Prix, obviously I'm going to be hyped up. But I'm not going to put this into my perspective into who I think will genuinely challenge for 24. They got a lot of things to figure out. I think they're currently in the same state that Mercedes was in last year with their W13. Making a decision on what concept to stick with and will that be the better concept to go with. I think that's why they keep running these tests and going for all these aero kits on their cars to actually find out the lines and figure out what is best in this floor era. I do think it's working. I do think that they should surprise us again in 24, but I do not see them as top challengers for Red Bull. I really hope they prove me wrong. That's my team anyways, but I gotta call it how it is. We need to see more proof rather than just Brazil. Las Vegas and Abu Dhabi will be very important, but what they do over the winter and how they use that time will be extremely important because they need to get upgrades right, not stay sideways or go down. I do think they're a team on the up trajectory. I don't know if it's just enough. Next team that I want to actually discuss about is Mercedes. So as you've seen through the week, everybody has been talking about the downfall, and has this been inevitable? Why is Mercedes so down? I'm gonna be honest with you, I really don't think that Mercedes is on a downwards trend. I think Brazil was a one-off. They have had actually, in my opinion, considering where the car started to where it is right now, a very successful season. This car is a Frankenstein car. It's not an actual car that was supposed to even get P2. This car realistically should have been a P4 car at best. Aston should have been better. I guess McLaren should have made a better jump, and Ferrari should have been a better team. They took a car that was a no side pod design, added side pods onto it, and are now trying to improvise how to actually make this car better. This isn't a design that no team would look in the wind tunnel and be like, yo, this is so efficient, let's go for it. This is all Mercedes improvising, and they're trying to figure out what are the best things to put on for the W15. That car will be a lot better of a representation of Mercedes. We have not seen a James Allison car in a while. The last car this guy built from scratch was the W11. Yes, the W12 was mainly his as well, but you know, with that little error reg that happened from 2020 to 2021, it kind of defaulted to the car that he already made so damn well. So now we're gonna see a James Allison car fully into effect. He's got a lot to fix, but there's also a lot to go off of. Side impact structure won't be deferring their progress anymore. The no side pod chassis itself will be something they don't have to worry about anymore. Their engine will actually be put out into a proper way, not a no side pod engine. So maybe, this is a big maybe, this is not actually confirmed or nothing. They could gain a couple of horsepower, but overall cooling should be better on the car. They require a lot more cooling now because of the no side pod design, and the cooling was actually coming in a lot faster. So it compromises even more drag on the car. And now the car doesn't have any strengths to what even the W13 had, because it's a Frankenstein mixed car. It doesn't have that incredible downforce like the W13 had. It does have incredible drag like the W13, and it possesses a lot more other problems. It doesn't have the tire wear thing that the W13 had, which was great. So continuous problems for Mercedes. I think they're going to surprise us yet again going into the next part of the season. Do I think it's enough to challenge in 2024? I don't feel like they are the strongest team currently to challenge in 24. Does that mean they could? They very well could. I don't think they're far off. If they can get within 2-3 tenths with a Frankenstein car, let's see what this Mercedes team can do with James Allison leading the way. but a car that's actually built from scratch from him and a whole entire different idea coming to this car, not a revolution that doesn't end up actually resulting in anything with no side pod design. Give it time. Let's see. They could be somewhere in the middle of the season of 2024 challenging really hard, but we'll have to see. I know there's a lot of negativity around the team right now, but I would put all that doubt to rest as of right now because it's recency bias, and that's what runs the sport. You're only as good as your last race, as they always say. Next team I want to discuss is Ferrari. Ferrari is a team that, to me, is really tricky to get a grip on. They're a team that's upward trajectory, and then they drop like a stone. And then yet again, and then drop like a stone. They're very in the middle, but it does seem with Frederick Vasseur, this team has been changing. Mentality-wise, they seem to have been changing. Their pit stops are much better. Strategy seems to be a lot more efficient this year than it was with Binotto. And overall, I think the drivers have a better sense of where the team's direction is going. Ferrari has switched team principles and overall their real pursuit to the World Championship so many times. And I think that has actually detrimented to them big time. Keeping Frederick, somebody that's a little bit more serious, but knows how to actually step up to the plate, I think is very important for the team. I do think the car is actually going up. Yet again, they're kind of in the same state as Mercedes. They're stuck with the chassis. They want a different chassis. They're going for a more RedBull design. And the upgrades they put on the car actually worked well to fix what was a big issue for them. Now, for me, their biggest issue lies in the suspension. So they have to change up the suspension, probably go down that RedBull route. That could take away from them doing very well, I think, next year. That's a big doubt that I have in my mind, because if they change the suspension, but they go in with not really knowing much about the new suspension with a pull rod suspension in the front, it could provide to be very difficult. But I think overall and aero-wise, this car is one of the strongest on the grid, and that is not to be messed with. This Ferrari car is strong. I expect them to be strong in 2024. To me, they're very, very close. But the one team, and I'm wearing the shirt, so you might have predicted it, I think McLaren is the strongest team going into 2024, and I'm going to tell you my reasons why. There's a lot riding for this team. First of all, full forward momentum. Momentum and mental aspect is so much bigger in Formula One than you actually think. While the aero in the cars and the drivers driving it obviously matters, so does mentality in a team. If the team feels like next year is our time to jump, they can jump. I feel like McLaren, there is no time better than next year to show off they are a championship winning team. Zach Brown has put in a plan. It's been a lot of years going on. He was very, very, very quick to fire James Key when stuff was turning around. I thought that was a good thing from his end as a real boss for the team. You need to step up when time is to step up. And he initiated quickly, took him out of the team, made the right choices, and the team is going in an upward trajectory right away. Andrea Stella seems like the right choice to actually lead that team to an even bigger future. And they keep saying that only 50% of the car is realistically done to what they could do this year. Going into 24, if you add another 50% to that car, they should be at the same pace as Red Bull. This is going, obviously, it's a prediction, so we won't really know. Any of these four teams can really step up, but McLaren follows the same concept that Red Bull does. Clearly, the suspension works. Every team that I named, Aston Martin, Ferrari, and Mercedes, what do they all lack? If you tell me in the comments before I say it, go ahead. Got 3 seconds. Well, if you guessed it, it's that the setup window is on a knife's edge constantly for all these teams, except for McLaren and Red Bull. And that is huge because we don't race on a track with just slow speed. We don't race on a track with just high speed. We race on a balance of tracks. Sometimes it's high speed, sometimes you need top speed, sometimes you need low speed. It's all super dependent, and McLaren and Red Bull have the best strategy for that. And that is because of the suspension setup and being able to lower and put the floor higher and without compromising so much aero efficiency. Mercedes lacks that big time. Aston is the biggest defier of that. And Ferrari clearly, because of their low downforce setups, lacks that as well. McLaren comes into 2024 having the best setup options and the overall car to fight with Red Bull. But with that being said, I want to hear your thoughts down in the comments below. Leave me in-depth comments. You know I respond. I'd love to hear it. And thank you all so much for watching. You guys are the best. You guys mean the world. Thank you and peace.